So today we're doing brokerage business and sales contracts. We'll do 22 questions on that. Okay, brokerage business and sale contracts. So which of the following business entities is generally prohibited from brokering real estate? Which of the following is generally prohibited from brokering real estate? A sole proprietor. B, a partnership. C, a corporation. Or D, nonprofit. Type your answer in the chat, please. I ask you to participate and be involved here. So y'all get it? So nonprofit corporation. Sole proprietorship, yes, that's like having an LLC and you're the only owner. And then a partnership, okay, and then a corporation for profit. They've got to be making profit in order to be doing business as a brokerage real estate. Number 2, a joint venture may generally broker real estate if the co-venturers are what? A, form a business trust. B, form a cooperative association. C, are properly licensed. Or D, are limited partners. The answer here is if they are 5.2C, if they are properly are doing brokerage and sales contract. So 5.2 is C. And thank you for being here. That lets me know that you are serious about preparing for your real estate exam, which takes studying every day, especially if you're taking it in a few days or next week or next month. Number 3, a licensed salesperson may work only for A, a client who has signed a listing agreement with a licensed broker. B, a single employing broker who has an active broker's license. C, a client who has signed an authorization agreement with a licensed salesperson. Or D, an employer who has an active or inactive broker's license. So what is the answer for 3? A licensed salesperson may work only for whom? B, a single employing broker who has an active broker's license. Only brokers, licensed brokers that are active, can have realtors, salespersons under them, sales agent. Or was it B? I better make sure I type the right answer. So 5.3 is B. 5.4, moving right along. Which of the following activities is a licensed salesperson allowed to engage in? Okay, a licensed salesperson, what can they engage in? Remember to read the questions carefully. A, accept a listing that is in associate's name. B, accept a commission directly from the MLS. C, offer a property to lease or on behalf of the employing broker. Or D, sign a contract with a management company on behalf of a. Okay, there may be some delays because the internet is going in and out. So what is the answer for 5.4? So a licensed salesperson can engage in C, offer a property for lease on behalf of the employing broker, 5.4C. So A says, accept a listing that is in an associate's name. No, all listings belong to the broker. B, accept a commission directly from the MLS. Heck no, we get paid from our broker. And D says, sign a contract with a management company on behalf of a client. No, you must have a property management license. So that's a little explanation of all the answers. So the only one is accepted. Oops, I'm sorry. Offer a property for lease on behalf of the employing broker. 5.5. If a salesperson or realtor or sales agent has worked on a completed transaction that involved a listing agent, a selling agent, and several sub-agents for each of these, from whom will the salesperson receive any commission that is due? So a salesperson that worked on a completed transaction, so it's done, that involved a listing agent, selling agent, and several sub-agents for each of these. Very interesting, confusing. From whom will the salesperson receive any compensation that is due? A, the listing agent, B, the selling agent, C, the seller, or D, the employing broker. So who pays us? So the question makes it confusing. Okay, selling, listing, sub-agents, such and such. But it comes down to, who do we receive our commission from? Our broker, right? So 5.5D said agents can only receive compensation from their employing brokers. Co-op commission, referral fees, and other compensation always flow through the broker to the sales agent. Number 6, a property has sold for $380,000. The listing agreement calls for a commission of 6.5%. The listing broker and selling broker agree to share the commission equally. So 50-50, right? That's from one broker to the other broker. What will the listing agent receive if the agent is scheduled to get a 40% share? So the listing agent, so there is a listing agreement with a 6.5% commission. And the listing broker and selling broker agree to share the commissions. So each one gets 3.25% commission agent receive if the agent is scheduled to get 40%. So how would you calculate that? I wish I could write on here, but it won't let me. So first, we are multiplying 3.25 times 380, right? So 3.25, because there's only one listing agent. So you can either multiply it by 6.5 and then divide it by 2 and then multiply the other way. So for me, I do split the commission, 3.25 times 380. That's going to give us like 12,350. And then the listing agent is getting 40% of that 12,350. So what is that? So if you have 40% of 12,000, just really quick, okay, you know that 4 times 12 is 48. So it's not going to be 44, 35, 26. It's going to be 49.40, because that's the closest. Their commission was 12,350 times 40. So I just removed the small numbers, 12,000 times 4, and get 4,800, right? 12 times 4, 48. So that's a quick way of choosing an answer instead of totally calculating it. Breaking things down to smaller pieces. So 5.6 is D. The way the book was calculating it, they were multiplying 6.5 times 380, then dividing that by 2 times 50%, which got 12,350, and then multiply that times 40. So I split the commission first and went that route. Still gives us the same answer. Another math problem. A real estate salesperson finds a buyer for a for sale by owner property. The home sells for $245,000 and the seller agrees to pay a commission of 3%. Great. The salesperson is on a 65% commission schedule and her broker, who pays her 65% minus office expenses of $500. How much will the salesperson receive from this calculation? So you'll be calculating something like this in the exam. Yeah, this is an example, but I can't show you. I can't show you the answer. Okay, so well, let me see. Let me wonder. So on here, it's 245,000. You multiply that by 3%. So that gives us 7,350. That's a pretty good commission, but that's before the split. So the agent gets 65% of that 73,550. So 65% by 7350 get minus office expense of 500. So that realtor will get 4,278. And so when you multiply it, okay, the 3% times the purchase price, okay, or the closing price. Here, I'm getting ready to be able to show you the answers. So, 07. Okay, I'm going to move it onto the screen so that I can show you how they calculate it. The last sentence is irrelevant. Right. So the last sentence says, how much will the salesperson receive from this transaction? No, it's not. They want to know how much, that asks for what is the answer. So on number 7, see, the total commission is 245,000 times 3%, right? Which equals 7,350. That's pretty good for one transaction. The agent gets 65%. So the split with the broker is 65% and 35%, right? The broker gets 35, the realtor gets 65. So 65 times 7,350 minus the $500 office. That last sentence is important, right? So the broker pays her, right? The salesperson is on 65 with her broker, who pays her 65% minus office expense. You might end up wanting to calculate this real quick and forget about the 500 expense, because we still have error and omission and maybe a transaction coordinator. Okay, and that's what those office expenses could be. Okay, number 8. Oh, let me type the answer. So 5.7 is C. All right, number 5.8. A salesperson makes a listing presentation to a home seller and obtains a signed listing agreement. Awesome. The first thing the salesperson must now do is make a final price and determination for the property. B, negotiate the commission with the seller, with the client. C, explain the agency relationship. So salesperson makes a listing presentation to a homeowner and obtains a signed listing agreement. What's the first thing the salesperson must now do? So the seller signed. So then somebody else needs to sign, right? So the answer for 5.8 is C. Complete the signing of the listing, because the listing agent has to sign it on behalf of the broker. So on a listing agreement, there's a box that either the broker is signing it or an associate of the broker. In this case, it's the associate of the broker, right? The listing agent. So, and the next step is giving the seller a copy. Now, a lot of this is done online. Okay, 5.9. Here we go, 5.9. Wow, yes. And that makes it executed correct. Once they both sign, then it's an executed listing agreement. 5.9. Juan shows a customer by another brokerage firm. He obtains an offer that is $15,000 less than the listing price. How should Juan deal with this offer? Okay, let's read the question again. Juan shows a customer property that is listed by another brokerage firm. He obtains an offer from his buyer that is $15,000 less than the list price, the listing price. How should Juan deal with this offer? A, advise the buyer that the offer will be rejected. B, present the offer to the seller at the earliest possible moment. C, ask the listing broker to lower the listing price. Or D, counter the offer. Okay, Max, it is lagging and sound is cutting off. Yes, so my internet keeps coming off a little bit. All right, let me see if I can improve Wi-Fi also on here. I have direct connect. For 5.9, okay, is B, present the offer to the seller at the earliest possible moment. So he obtains an offer that is $15,000 less than the list price. His responsibility, fiduciary duty, is to present that to the listing agent that represents the seller. So present the offer to the seller at the earliest possible moment. Now, the buyer agent is not presenting it to the seller directly. They're presenting it to the listing agent, and the listing agent presents it to their seller. Okay, we don't interact with the client, the principal that belongs to the other agent. (5.9b). Okay, it seems like YouTube is now catching up a little bit faster. Okay, 5.10. Or 5.10. It from a buyer and signs the check over to the listing agent as a partial commission advance. So let's read that again. A broker receives earnest money deposit from a buyer and signs the check over to the listing agent as a partial commission advance. What is wrong with this procedure? A, nothing, provided the deposit clears the bank and doesn't bounce. B, the broker and the agent are guilty of price fixing. C, the broker has illegally converted security funds for business use. Or D, the agent may not be able to return the advance if this transaction falls through. Yeah, there's still a lag on internet. Okay, number 10. So a broker receives an earnest money deposit from a buyer and signs a check over to the listing agent. That is a no-no, as a partial commission advance. What is wrong with this procedure? Funds for business use. That is not doable. It goes to the closing officer, the title company, or the closing offer. The only time that earnest money may be released from a buyer, to, let's say, the seller is with an agreement by both parties in writing. It's converted, right? And commingling is different. Yes, commingling is different. They're depositing the money into their personal checking account. That's commingling, or their personal business account, instead of with the brokerage trust account, because it has to go into a trust account. That's what the title company's escrow officers and the attorney who is an escrow officer, they put earnest money into a trust account. Okay, we're going into number 11. Wow, on my computer, I'm still seeing 5.9 on YouTube. What are all of you seeing on your end? Because you're watching on YouTube. Where is your, maybe I need to slow down a little bit so that YouTube can catch up with the internet. Could you tell me what is on your screen right now? What problem? Is it 5.9? Is it 5.10? Okay, no one is answering. So maybe there are some other issues. Okay, number 511. Under what circumstances may a property listed for sale with a brokerage be advertised without identifying the broker? Okay, under what circumstances may a property listed for sale with a brokerage be advertised? Wait, when the ad is restricted to the brokerage website. C, when the advertisement is a silent ad. Or D, never. So do all listings have to be advertised under the brokerage name? That would be a question you would be asking yourself. So if that's the case, they can never advertise a property listing without identifying the broker. The answer is 511D. Okay. So Max, you didn't reply to me. I wanted to know what you see on your screen right now, since you're watching on YouTube. Because on my other monitor, I'm still seeing 5.10. Okay, nobody is answering. Okay, we're going to head on to number 12. Oh, well, shoot, it shouldn't be ringing. Number 12, competing brokers in a county seat agree on a standard commission rate for principals within the county. This is a possible violation of A, fair trade and antitrust laws, B, the statute of fraud, C, contract law, or D, the Uniform Commercial Code. So can competing brokers in a county agree to charge a standard commission, or is commission always negotiable? Can we have a monopoly or not? Okay, so competing brokers in a county seat agree on a standard commission rate for principals within the county. That's a no-no. That's a violation by A, fair trade and antitrust laws, 5.12A. Okay, number 13. What is co-brokerage? What does co-brokerage stand for? That's a definition, right? A, an owner agent and a buyer agent combine efforts to complete a sale. B, outside brokerage assist a listing agent in procuring a buyer. C, an owner or buyer lists with several brokers to complete a transaction. Is that doable? D, agents from a single agency cooperate to generate listings for the broker. So what is a co-brokerage? Cooperating broker. The answer for 513, okay, is outside brokers assist a listing agent in procuring a buyer. The answer is 513, B as in boy. So most listing agreements provide for brokerage cooperation. That's how we do business. We cooperate with other brokers. We're a buyer agent. We deal with the listing broker. I'm a listing broker agent, then the buyer agent brokerage interacts with us. Now, the same brokerage could end up representing two separate clients, right? The buyer and the seller under the same brokerage. Then that's an intermediary relationship. So a transaction involving a cooperating sub-agent is called co-brokerage. In a co-broker transaction, the listing broker splits the commission with the co-broker, typically on a 50-50%. Number 14, which of the following may associate his or her name of or title with the term realtor? A, an active or inactive broker in the country. B, any duly licensed active agent or broker. C, any member in good standing in a property chartered real estate trade organization. D, only members of the National Association of Realtors. So which of the following may associate his or her name or title with the term realtor, okay, with the branding logo, with the trademark logo? And when using the trademark, whenever the word realtor is capitalized completely, the trademark must be on there. It's not necessary on the word realtor when it's not all capitalized, but it is required because that is a trade name. Realtor capitalized requires to have the trademark on it. So the answer for this one is D, only members of the National Association of Brokers, 514D. So which of the following may associate his or her name or title with the term realtor? Only members of the NAR, National Association of Realtors. Okay, number 15. Real estate sales agents, realtors, salespeople, real estate salespeople are legally authorized to do what? A, represent their employing broker in procuring clients and customers. B, act directly on a client's behalf to discharge the broker's listings responsibilities. C, negotiate and execute contracts for sale on behalf of the client. Or D, take on the listing responsibilities for other listings in MLS, multiple listing service. So what are realtors legally authorized to do? The answer here is A, represent their employing broker in procuring clients and customers. So we are to prospect on a daily basis if we want to make a lot of money and get sellers or get buyers. But at first, they're customers, right? Until we have something in signing, we don't have an agency relationship and we don't have a client. They are customers. So 515A, in North Dakota, PM could sign leases without a certification. A property manager, is that what you mean? Additional education. Now, they can be hired by a corporation, and they manage leases for the property manager or for the owner. Like, okay, because they could be, it's probably better, they're better educated. However, if the company owns, a big apartment complex, they'll have an individual in there that is not certified or licensed because they're working for the owner of the apartment complex. If it's with a property manager, okay, they have a brokerage license. Therefore, so I don't know the North Dakota, but in Texas, property managers are certified if they're representing individual sellers to rent properties, condos, townhomes, land, whatever they're renting. Okay, so that was the accent. So are you sure about that? So the Dakota property manager could sign leases without a certification. So you got to know that's a little too general, Max. It depends who is their employer. Who is that property manager working for? Individuals, homeowners, or a corporation? Okay, did I type the answer? 15? Yeah, 15A. Number 16. How does the position of an independent contractor licensee, abbreviated IC, independent contractor, differ from that of an employee licensee? So A, the independent contractor, that's us who has our own business versus being an employee of a company. So the IC is responsible for his or her own taxes. The broker does not withhold. B, the IC must obtain his or her own training. It is not provided by the broker. C, the employee is not entitled to company benefits. So independent contractor, that is our license. We are independent contractors when we become realtors and hang our license under a particular broker. We are not employees of that brokerage or that broker. We're independent contractors. We pay our own income taxes. They are not withheld by the brokerage because we're not an employee. Most of the time, if you fill out application, it's going to say, oh, who do you work for? Oh, well, I work for, so-and-so brokerage. We don't work for them because we're not their employee. We work with them, hang our license with them, and pay them a fee, which is the commission split. So 516, 516 is A. The IC is responsible for his or her own taxes. The broker does not withhold when we are independent contractor licensees. Ooh, the way I typed that answer is not correct. 5.16A. Number 17. Salesperson's commission rate and structure is established by whom? A, state regulation. B, competitive conditions. C, agreement with one broker in the brokers in the market with, C, agreement with other brokers in the market, or D, negotiation with the client. So a person's commission rate and structure is established by, the client is the one we end up negotiating with. However, what we decide to charge may be the correct answer B, 517B, competitive conditions. So some areas to be competitive might charge lower in order to be competitive with sellers who will say, well, so-and-so realtor is only charging 2%, right? So I want you to charge 2%. You might say, well, no. And if almost everybody else, that's the competitive rate, right? Because there is no standard rate. It's all negotiable. But it's a competitive market, and the final percentage is agreed upon between the negotiation with the client. But the correct answer here is B. Commission structures are negotiated between the agent and employing brokers as a function of competitive market conditions. Some brokers will not allow you to charge very little, like just 3% or 2%. So the structure will be in the policies and described by your brokerage, because some may require, no, you have to charge 3% for your side or for 4%. So it's not being discussed with other brokers. It's within your brokerage, the procedures and policies and standards of operation, standards of practice. But then the final negotiation happens with the client. So that would have been initially my salesperson's commission rate and structure is established by competitive conditions, 517B. And it says here, commission structures are negotiated between the agent and employee brokerage as a function of competitive market conditions. Well, that could be the commission split that they're talking about versus the commission with a client for listing a property or selling a property as a buyer agent. It could be the commission, the salesperson structure is how we negotiate with the brokerage that we're going to join. Okay, what that broker, is paying. Like a 60-40 commission split out of a commission of 3% or 4%. So there's standards of procedures and operations with all brokers. Some of them won't allow you charging less than a certain percentage or above a certain percentage. That's not a monopoly. That's within the same brokerage. It's their policy. And then they have the commission split, your commission rate, which might be 50%, 60, 80, 70. So that one can get a little confusing. All right, number 18. In obtaining offers from a buyer, an agent must be careful to A, pursue only those offers which are at or near the listed price. B, balance the owner's price expectations with the buyer's opinion of value. C, avoid disclosing what price the owner will accept. Or D, avoid completing offers that are beneath market value. So in obtaining offers from a buyer, an agent must be careful to pursue only those offers that are near the list price, balance the owner's price expectations with the buyer's opinion of value, avoid disclosing what price the owner will accept, or avoid completing offers that are beneath market value. Remember, there are confidentiality. So in this case, the answer is 518C, is avoid disclosing what price the owner will accept. Share that information. Our fiduciary responsibility is to that seller. And once there's an offer, we are still to keep that confidential, although I have experienced some realtors sharing what the offer is. And when there's multiple offers or something like that, so everybody has a difference of opinion. I do not disclose because my fiduciary duty is to the seller. If that offer were to fall, let's say the seller accepted, $20,000, $30,000 less because they're getting desperate. And that realtor shares that amount with others, but then the offer falls. So now the other realtors are going to come back and offer $30,000 less, where the seller could have potentially gotten, a better offer. Okay, so we don't share that. Okay, commingling is the practice of A, blending escrow funds on a number of properties in one escrow account. B, mixing socially with prospects at open houses or marketing functions. C, allocating commission funds from a transaction for use in the agency's business. Or D, mixing escrow funds with the broker's operating funds. The answer for 519 is C. Commingling is the practice of D, mixing escrow funds with the broker's operating funds. So the escrow funds, they go into a trust fund, not into the brokerage operating checking account. So they have to have a separate checking account for escrow money, for deposits, for earnest money. Okay, number 20. 3 leading agencies charge identical commission rates for brokering office properties in Phoenix. Based on this information alone, which of the following is true? A, there is insufficient evidence of anything other than a normal business practice. B, the brokers have engaged in legal collusion. C, the brokers have allocated the Phoenix market. Or D, the brokers have illegally fixed prices. So the answer here, as it says, so they 3 leading agencies are charging identical commission for brokering office properties. Based on this information alone, okay, keyword, with just that information, which of the following is true? A, there is insufficient evidence of anything other than a normal business practice. So charging identical commission rates in itself is legitimate. Price fixing occurs when competitors have in fact colluded together to set pricing, which it's not what they did here. Number 21. A real estate sales contract is an executory contract until, okay, executory versus executed, right? So A, the completed sales transaction is recorded. B, the buyer and seller have agreed to all provisions and have signed the contract. C, all the obligations and promises are performed and the transaction is closed. D, the loan has been approved, the title insurance has been obtained, and the closing date is set. Which one identifies executory contract? The answer is C. All obligations and promises are performed and the transaction is closed. It's not when it's recorded, it's when it has closed. The recording happens after it closes. Number 22. In assisting buyer or seller to complete an offer to purchase, what should an agent do to reduce the risk of committing an unauthorized practice of law? Okay, again, in assisting a buyer or seller to complete an offer to purchase, what should an agent do to reduce the risk of committing an unauthorized practice of law? A, use a standard contract promulgated by a state agency or a real estate board. B, observe ethical standards promulgated by real estate organizations. C, offer legal advice only on points of the contract that the agent is absolutely certain about. Or D, write contract terms that are fair to both buyer and seller. We don't edit contracts. We only fill in the blanks with the answers that our client, the principal, tells us. So what do you think the answer here is? Use a standard contract promulgated by a state agency or real estate board. Observe ethical standards promulgated by real estate. So observe ethical standards. Well, offer legal advice. No, you're practicing law, right? So either A or B. Well, the answer is A, using standard promulgated contracts. It's probably one of the courses that you take in order to take the exam. So 522 is A. All right, so that's it for tonight. So we just reviewed brokerage. Oh, let me share this screen. So we just reviewed brokerage, business, and sale contracts. How do brokers deal? How do we deal with brokerages, sales agents, buyer, salespeople, realtors, and the brokers themselves? And then sales contracts. So no, not tomorrow. On Tuesday, I will continue with the second half of this section. Oh, pardon me. Oops, no. Didn't mean to do that. So on Tuesday, we'll continue with brokerage, business, and sales contracts. There are another 22 questions in order to complete this section. So I'm going to continue with section 4, national practice tests, per the test topic, brokerage, business, sale contract. After that, economic appraisal. I'm thinking after Max, you mentioned that your weakness was agency, and I think contracts or listing agreements, one of those things. I think by putting on the thumbnail and on the topic title, what we're covering will help individuals go back and study questions that pertain to what they were weak on the exam, because the results give you the results of the exam don't tell you which questions you missed. They just say out of this category, contracts, you got so many right, math, so many right, so many wrong. However, you don't know, and some books don't break them down that way. And so I'm thinking, and a lot of videos don't break them down by just test questions that cover that particular topic. So based on your comment, Max, I am doing things a little bit different. That's why I'm putting the topic in the thumbnail and also in the video title, so that you can go and study agency questions, listing agreements, and I may correct thumbnails on some of the other videos. So to notate that. But for now, that's it for this evening. So thank you for being here this evening and studying to prepare for your exam with me. And I look forward to continue seeing you. I appreciate your attendance. And if this is your first time to my channel, I ask you to please subscribe to my channel. Check the thumbs up if you like the information, the video, and if it's helpful, and click the bell so you get alerted anytime I go live. With that said, I am a practicing realtor. That's why sometimes I cancel, because I have my own appointments in the San Antonio market. You're very welcome, Max. Thank you all. Have a good night.